Most recently, Ken Atchity produced The Meg, a major movie with Jason Statham and a lot of other major stars in it about a giant shark, or megalodon. Ken Atchity was working on this project for like 20 years, and he's the one who originally discovered this writer and kept the project going for so long. So I had him on the podcast to talk about it, and here are the takeaways from my conversation with producer and literary agent Dr. Ken Atchity. The first thing we talked about was how no one knows anything in Hollywood.
Remember the only rule in Hollywood, no one knows anything. And that was an enormous relief to see that, because I thought, well, I certainly know nothing, but what he's saying, it's a level playing field, I can handle that. If I had known then what I know now, I would never have dared to pitch 8 movies.
Then Dr. Atchity talked about wild ideas.
When I get a new partner in the business, which I do, once or twice a year, I always say to the new partner, don't hesitate to tell me your craziest ideas, because we'll try them. I'll give you the cautious version of how to do this. I'll give you the kind of correct version of how to do it. But this is a business that's based on, wild ideas, and don't ever hesitate to come up with them.
And what stops someone from thinking outside the box?
I always say that I think outside the box, or there are just no boxes. But the truth is, when you're in the business and have done as many movies as I have and have made as many deals, when you do that, you start taking on partners in all directions from inside the business. And those partners all have a way of doing it, and it starts rubbing off on you after a while, and it's harder and harder to think of crazy things to do. And that's why I always welcome fresh new partners outside the business who say, why can't we do it this way?
Then we talked about the market for new stories.
The story market is very volatile, and the good news for storytellers is it's voracious. As you know, with the proliferation of channels, and television is now in a renaissance of spectacular quality, even compared to feature films. You have more freedom in television, in the world of television today, than you do in features even. It's a very exciting world. In that world of storytelling, things can change overnight. You could be in the middle of negotiating a deal, and the deal is killed because another project very like it comes out on another channel, and that can cause the buyers in your deal to decide this isn't the right time. And on the other hand, something can sell immediately just because it is the right time. So the key thing, if you're me, you just need to be pitching all the time.
I asked him how he sets up meetings with studio heads.
Well, you don't pick up the phone anymore, of course. You use email. People are very phone averse these days, including me. I don't know why. I guess email is just so much more direct, and the phone is for when things get snarly, because email has a way of tying people up in knots unnecessarily. And when I see that happening, I try to pick up the phone and have a human conversation. But normally you send somebody an email, you ask them to set up a pitch meeting, and normally they respond.
Then we talked about how to stay memorable.
People in this business are, they have good memories about people who have good stories. And I've kind of always been known as someone who brings worthwhile material out. We're setting up series now. We've gone into 2 new areas, television series and also into family animation movies. And in both areas, we're starting to make deals, and that's very gratifying.
I asked him about the art of pitching.
Pitching is an art in this business, and the biggest part of the art is watching the eyes of your buyer to see whether he's truly engaged and listening or not, and to stop that process when you see that he's not.
We talked about the difference between veteran and amateur pitching.
When you think about what they do, the buyers, they listen to stories all day. That's what they do for a living. It's extremely exciting to be living in a world where people do nothing all day but read stories, listen to stories, make decisions about stories. And so to show them that you respect their time means that you may be somebody they want to work with in the future, because that respect is kind of the basis for good relationships.
If you found this video valuable, I'd love if you would share it with a friend. Think of someone you think would get value and email it to them. Hey, found this video. I'm sure you will like it. Put a little link. Send it on over. Your friend will come back. Maybe they'll subscribe. Maybe they'll go over to Story Merchant, which is Ken Atchity's business, and maybe they'll buy from him. Everybody wins. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would love if you'd give it a like. Comment what you think. I'm always in the market for reading comments. Ken Atchity's in the story market. I am in the comment reading market. So let me know what you think. Are we on the right track? I'm Alex Berman. Thanks for watching the video.